Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Today on The Real Female Entrepreneurs, we're dialing in from Ireland to meet a woman who's turning LinkedIn from to totally magnetic. She's a certified LinkedIn insider and a globally recognized expert, featured by Influence Digest and beloved by remote service providers and coaches alike everywhere. Whether she's optimizing your profile, teaching you how to network like a natural born leader, or helping you show up with confidence, even if you're a little LinkedIn shy, it's okay. We all have a tendency to be. Her magic is making professionals go from invisible to irresistible. She's a champion for dyslexic business owners as well, and a powerhouse just for you. Help me welcome and meet Rosemary O'Shaughnessy. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You are amazing. I love it. You already love what you do. You were telling me a little bit about it. Your eyes will lighten up. You were just like so excited. So I really would love to hear the story. What inspired you to become the entrepreneur you are, the LinkedIn specialist, the guru of LinkedIn? What made you become that?
It was a combination of things. I'm Irish; you can hear it in my accent, so I like to travel, and initially it was to have a career that would give me flexibility for lifestyle, plus to do what I loved. And I initially started working with social media, and then as everything we develop and our interests and all develop, and then I ended up working on websites, and then I landed on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn I really resonated with in so many ways. Um, and when it's used correctly, it opens doors for everyone. But like LinkedIn, like during COVID, everyone went on to LinkedIn. If you'd lost your job, you went on to LinkedIn. And if your business was in trouble, you went into LinkedIn. But then it was a very crowded marketplace. People were confused and frightened. And all those things were happening at the time. So I love being able to say, you don't need to be frightened. It can be your friend. It can actually help you grow your business if that, if it's to get a job. But like everything, you have to learn how to use it correctly, or it's a time waste. Like or any social media, if you don't know how to use it correctly, it won't serve you. It'll just take all your time up. Hence, I love the book Stolen Focus.
So that's amazing. So you just like transitioned into LinkedIn, it sounds like, and it became a crowded space. What is it now? What is LinkedIn really like now, if you don't mind? Is it as crowded as it was or less crowded?
What actually happened at the time, during COVID, for instance, everyone went on to LinkedIn who were never on LinkedIn in their life before. And then people were getting an awful lot of, say, news or things that weren't relevant, and people weren't happy. As a consequence, that things changed on LinkedIn. So now it's kind of more focused on your network. It's like if you are looking for an accountant or someone and you ask your friend or whatever, do you know a good accountant? It's more focused on having that tight network, the way we actually react as people if we're going to recommend someone. And that's what you want to be thinking about, what you do in real life. And if you're going to be marketing on LinkedIn, you need to be strategic because it's a very big place. And obviously, in a very big place, there's going to be the people that are relevant for you and the people who aren't relevant for you.
Mhm.
And there's two types, there's people like, for instance, here, women in business. Let's talk about women in business. There
Yeah.
are lots of women in business. So you might be there to get support from other women in business. That could be one thing. Or it might be another thing we mentioned earlier to organize partnerships with other women in business. Like, for example, I did a workshop recently. It was all about networking and all, but I was doing it with someone in America. That's partnership, women in business, supporting each other. But how did we connect with each other in the first place? LinkedIn.
That's amazing. So, talking about women, talking about business, what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to grow their business? LinkedIn seems to be a really good place for that. But what advice as a whole would you give them? You can use LinkedIn or some other fashion.
I would say the problem is most people, when they're starting off or whatever, is they feel they have to be everything. And if you try and be everything, you will confuse people. Like, just imagine we're in Seattle and we're trying to get a cup of coffee, and we're told there's 500 types of coffee, and you would just stand, look at someone, and not be able to make a decision about a cup of coffee. So, what you want to do, what is your one thing? What are you good at that you can do confidently, and that you, if it's your mother, she'll know you're very good at that one thing. And if she's out with her friends, she can recommend you. Your niece, again, they understand clearly what you do. And that's not telling your mother you're a consultant. And then she says it to her friend, and they say, that's really nice. And that's the end of the conversation. Where if you said you were a consultant specializing in the building industry and you help people sell houses, whatever it is, then all of a sudden it would be easier for your mom to recommend you. Now, equally on LinkedIn, you want to do exactly the same thing. Like on LinkedIn, I say I do workshops. I say I train people. I say I work for small businesses, dyslexic business owners. That is clear. So at least if someone recommends me, it is clear what I do if to that person. So that's what you really want. You want to make it easier to create raving fans who can promote you to to help you grow a business. I know that sounds very simple, but obviously you have to do a good job for them. Because if you
I
don't do a good job.
I was in a meeting yesterday, and it so one of the girls says, she goes, "I posted a picture saying, because of her freedom and what she's able to do and she travels and stuff." And somebody came back and asked her what she did. They didn't even know what she did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if people aren't clear on what you do, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And that changes, because you'll find customers come to you and you can end up doing different things, but you have to keep it clear and keep it simple. Because if something is, even how much we can remember, even a sentence, we remember the first few words and we remember the last few words. If it's too long, we don't remember. Like, you'd know all about headlines.
Mhm.
They need to be concise, they need to be simple, and people are concentrating less. So, in a lot of ways, you have actually less time to get people's attention. So, make it simple. And on LinkedIn, people are very busy.
Yep. The
So,
simple, the
that,
better.
yeah,
Not a big, long message. It's got to be short and concise so they can go, oh, yeah,
yeah,
resonates.
yeah.
All right, let's jump and have a little bit fun. Knowing
Okay.
what knowing what you've learned so far in business, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh golly, I'd say don't be afraid of tech, even though because I was never a very techie person on that kind of thing. I think I would embrace technology a lot earlier. Um, and also just simplify things because you get a lot of people, and especially in business these days, with all the shiny objects. Every time you're talking to them, they've a new online tool. But if you have a whole load of new things, you usually have not learned how to use any of them properly, then a lot of them have these things called direct debits. So a lot of expenses as well. So it's really calm down because I think all of us can get overwhelmed, whatever. Simplify things
Mm,
and don't be afraid. The more you do things, the more confidence you get, and then it is easier to achieve things.
definitely.
And I think most of us, if we were that 18-year-old, we had two things. We were really cocky, or we were really afraid of the world instead of just grabbing it. Because you think you've all the time in the world when you're 18.
We know everything. You know
Yeah.
that? All right. What's one key strategy that has helped you advance your career in business? And, sometimes it could be something that somebody said, oh, don't go do that. It's probably not going to work, but you did it anyway.
I keep going on about this kind of simplicity thing because I think initially all of us feel we have to go and do everything, or we don't really learn. It took me a while anyway. Maybe everyone's better than me. Initially, for example, if you were online, you would network with everyone. And then the longer you're in business, the more strategic you are, and by being more strategic, you actually attract people. You can do more for, you've more in common, and it takes away a lot of the clutter because when you're talking to people that you're a fit for, you can help them quicker or they can help you because there is an understanding. It's like you and me. We're women in business, we work remotely, there's all kinds of different things that we have in common. And by that, we're in a position that we can help each other.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. All right. So I need to hear any future plans you have. Do you have any that we need to keep an eye out for?
I am very excited about workshops because what I find is there's two types of people. There's the people who want one-to-one training, which I really, really enjoy. But then I do another thing is small workshops. And the reason I do it that way is if people are in a big crowd, a lot of people don't necessarily have the confidence to ask that question. And that question that can make all the difference. So I do monthly profile optimization workshops. I also do like last month, and I said I'd give you the details of it, is we did a workshop about networking on LinkedIn, but how I did it was I actually showed people how I use my own LinkedIn, how my own LinkedIn helped me be in a position, which was the following day, that I was going to be talking to a lead to get business. And then I actually was doing it along with a colleague in America, and they talked about goals because there's no point just networking if you don't have clarity of what you're trying to achieve, because networking, like everything else, if you don't do it properly, you can burn yourself out, get very frustrated, then want to give up before you find that secret gem, which is that secret customer or whoever.
And that perfect niche. The secret
Yeah.
customer, that's the perfect niche for you. And I mean, yeah, some people give up, but if they could do that sooner, the world would be their oyster in that niche.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to get the link. Shh. We'll have to tell you later, but okay. If you had a superpower for just one day, 24 hours, what would it be?
I think it's simplicity. Because when you make things simple, like number one, the world and life has a lot of moving balls and everything. But if things are simple, if something goes wrong, it's easier just to keep going and going forward. I know I've said one, and another thing is resilience. And just to give you an example of that, in my part of the world, we had a very bad storm last February, and I didn't have electricity for 8 days, and I had to keep things going. Now, it worked out very well in a really, really positive way because we have something called an enterprise board here. So I actually, the following day, I took a deep breath, and then I have a fob because I have the office, and I kind of use the fob to see if there'd be any electricity or water. Two very exciting things. But the point is, a lot of other people were in the same situation. And it's amazing when you've a crisis, it actually all the brilliant ideas you come up with, because I was actually doing a workshop in for colleagues in America, and I didn't have the heart to say I know electricity. That workshop was on the Wednesday. Came into the enterprise board, and I smiled sweetly. It works, this networking stuff. Smiled sweetly at the general manager. He gave me his office.
My God, how
Workshop
sweet.
went, yeah. So the workshop went on. So I would say simplicity and resilience.
Yeah. Ask. Hello. That's your resilience. You just asked a question, a favor. Oh my God. Love it. Okay. What's one fun fact about you that many people don't know about?
Oh, I love my electric bike, and I only learned to cycle very recently. And I don't have the best balance, so I on my electric bike and I just get my balance a bit wrong. And I go flying down a hill. I had 24 eggs in my pannier because, and the bike turns over. I don't break the eggs, but I break my ribs.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You
But
also,
I have to
you,
say, I really, really am amazed how much I like my electric bike. I have this dream. I'd love to cycle around Europe, even under the cobble streets of some places. I haven't done that yet.
that is cool. So I think you started something else too that you
Oh,
told me
I
about. And I
started,
really want to hear more about that, if that's okay.
okay,
But I
last
love the fact you're
January.
cycling. So you have the electric cycle, not the stationary.
Oh,
You have
no, it's
the
the
electric
electric. Oh, that's very
cycle.
important.
That is important to recognize. And then what else did you just start? Because I'm blown away because I want to do this, but I would be like you. So tell me about it.
Okay, last January I got the flu. My energy level was a bit low, and I saw an ad for couch to 5K, and which was basically run a 5K. Now I had not run since I was in school, and I just thought, ah, you put your 2 feet in front of each other and you get from A to B. But it's not that straightforward. There was a whole load of you have to learn your breathing, you have to learn your stamina, you have to eat right, you have to wear the right shoes. Obviously, if you're in a group scenario like I was or am still, you encourage each other. And by encouraging each other, you can achieve so much more. And I found myself thinking about that on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is exactly the same principle. Because if you don't if, for example, you're writing a LinkedIn post, if you don't have a plan of why you're writing it, um, if you have your network all going well, they will share your post. Then obviously your post can achieve a lot more. And just the same as running a 5K. And obviously, I started at the bottom with my 5K. I
That
could
would be
walk.
me.
But the point is, you have to start. And even though you can feel very silly, and I have to say, I felt a bit silly with all of this kind of thing. But by doing it, I gradually improved and I got to the stage. And I can send you a photo of my nice, lovely green medal. I'm in Ireland. My lovely green medal. But you have to start. And that can be the hardest thing. And like, as you would agree with, working with people, if it's running a 5K, if it's networking on LinkedIn, if it's you and me talking, we can actually encourage each other to inspire. Because if I was trying to run that 5K by myself, even if I went and trained on the same level, the training was twice a week, I would not have completed it. It was working as a team. That made the difference between me completing it and getting my medal.
And are you still jogging?
Oh, I'm jogging around the castle now.
Do you live in a castle?
No, I don't live in a
Okay.
castle,
Okay.
but there is a castle near me. And after I finished my first 5K, there was another one and I joined it. And one day a week on Tuesdays, not Thursdays, but on Thursday there's weddings in the castle. But on Tuesdays, I'm running around the castle.
That's awesome. That has to be fun. That's got to be fun. I can just see it. I'm a dancer, but I could see me running. I'd be so spastic. Oh my God, it'd be so much fun. Okay. All right. What about a book? Can you tell me about one of your favorite books?
Stolen focus. Now, what is stolen focus all about?
Mhm.
In the modern world, like think of it, we go online and you decide you're just going to go into LinkedIn and you see whatever, and you go through this little rabbit hole and you might come out of it half an hour later. Because what has happened in the modern world is you have tech companies, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Facebook, they put a huge amount of money to distract us. Because when we're distracted, we might see an ad, and that's how they make money. And the more they can prove we spent our whole life on their platform, the better. Now, Stolen Focus actually tells the story of how all this happens, but also it makes you very conscious of, no, I want to have my life. I am not going to be just on LinkedIn or on online. I'm taking control, because you do. Like, I put a poll up the other day. It was very funny. And my question was, oh, are you just going to be, what's the phrase? Can you tell me? When we're not lurking and watching all these
Oh,
scrolling,
scrolling. Yeah.
scrolling on LinkedIn, or are you going to work your LinkedIn strategy, or are you going to network? Nobody scrolled. Not as doomsday scrolling. That was the phrase I used.
That's
And
cute.
yeah, and no one, and in fairness, no one said they did. Now, I know in reality, in reality, a few people might have scrolled on LinkedIn.
Yeah, they did. I like that. That sounds like a cool book. What about a favorite song?
Billy can't read. And I'll tell you what Billy can read is all about. Billy it's a country and western song, and it tells the story of Billy. And Billy is the best worker. And the boss wants to promote Billy, but Billy can't read. And it tells, and obviously I support dyslexia and everything, but it really explains the story of him not getting promoted and things being so much harder. And every time I hear that song, it just brings tears to my eyes, because it really, things that people wouldn't think about, because they would just take for granted that people, you know, can read and all. And then it starts actually by saying he's only on minimum wage. And he was on minimum wage because he couldn't read. And then at the end of the song, Billy learns to read, and guess what? He gets promoted.
You work a lot with dyslexic business owners. Can you tell us about that and where your heart comes from that and what all they can do in this world that is so amazing that some of us can't even do?
Yeah, the thing about dyslexia, like everything, like we all have different skills and all. But dyslexic people are inclined to be very creative and they're very good problem solving skills. And I'll give you an example. I did a podcast interview recently with an Irish business owner. And this is way back then, but he's a dyslexic. And he had 100 telesales staff and his telephone lines went down. So if his telesales staff weren't ringing, he wasn't making sales, and that was not good for business. Now, most people would just panic. But what he did, he thought about it, and then he said, but what if we diverted the line to all their mobile phones? So they managed to get, like, would be the nationwide provider in Ireland, to divert all the phones to the staff's telephone lines, and then they started ringing again, and the money started flowing into the business. So the thing about dyslexia, okay, in some ways it is a disadvantage because, or in the past more, because say if a dyslexic had to do a proposal around a business, they could have had really panicked about how do I write this all together, and all those kind of things would take them longer and put them at a disadvantage. But now we have technology, and technology can bring that all forward. And it's amazing how some things were invented not for dyslexia, but give you one. Have you ever used Dragon?
No.
Okay.
These days, AI, I've used ChatGPT, but not Dragon. So tell me about
Okay.
Dragon.
Now, Dragon is about God. I dread to think how long old it is, but Dragon was invented basically for business owners. So you could say you wouldn't have to pay for a secretary, because what Dragon did was you would actually speak to Dragon, and obviously it will you get your text. Now, that was actually invented for just general business. And when I used it initially, I had a huge disadvantage with it because I'm Irish. And being Irish, we don't pronounce TH, and you have to train Dragon. So I had to read Kennedy's inaugural address. Now, it was a very good address, but I had to keep reading it because I couldn't pronounce my TH as well as I probably an American and Middle England, but not definitely not my accent. But then that transferred into, say, the dyslexic world and all that kind of thing. So it is very interesting how a lot of these things cross over and can make people a lot more efficient.
Hmm.
And where did I get this passion for supporting people with dyslexia?
Yeah.
Probably more than likely, I'm a dyslexic myself, but I decided I didn't want to get tested. But I did tell my friends from school, and they all laughed on a certain birthday. We won't mention which birthday. And one said, I remember you struggling to read. And someone else said, do you remember? I said to them, do you remember I found it difficult to catch a ball? Because both of those things are signs of it.
Really?
And but I don't see it as a disadvantage.
Hmm.
But in my time, there was a lot of stigma, and still there can be stigma, and that's wrong because you take Richard Branson, he's a dyslexic. He classes it as a superpower because when you're something like a dyslexic, you find different ways to do things. and that can be an advantage.
So I always had a comprehension level when I read because I wasn't interested in the books, I think. But
Yeah.
I kind of maybe had dyslexia and just, overcome it because, you had to. You had to learn how to overcome it sometimes. I don't know if you can overcome it or you just roll through it. I don't know.
No, it's like you have glasses, you have glasses. You know, it is your makeup,
Yeah.
and that's not a good or a bad thing. It's who and what you are. With that, you get a different set of skills. There's an awful lot extremely from your part of the world. Erin Brockovich,
Yeah.
dyslexic, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's some absolutely fascinating people
Yeah.
um, came from that, and think of her determination to do what she achieved.
Yeah. Definitely. There's so many. I mean, a lot of inventors were.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. What about a favorite quote?
Oh, I had one. Now, will I remember it? I'll read it to you. The question isn't who is going to let me, is who's going to stop me.
Ooh. That goes
Because,
along with your dyslexia.
yeah, you really, the point is we all should be thinking of how, not we can't.
Mhm.
And not be afraid and be confident. Now that doesn't all confidence doesn't always come easily, but take the baby step. And every time you take one step, it leads to another step, it leads to another step. I, because so many people, and I can think of one person, and they permanently keep learning,
Mm,
but they don't do. And because they don't do, they're not progressing,
mhm.
if that all makes sense.
Oh, it does. It does. You can learn, but if you don't implement, it's not going anywhere.
And you forget
Yeah.
as well. So you're better quite often doing less, but applying, improving, and then going again.
Mhm. That is amazing. How do you stay motivated? Besides cycling and running, what else do you do?
I think you need to have a balance in life to stay motivated, because if you get burnt out, any of us, we won't stay motivated. We'll be, you know, not in good form. So I think do what you love and make sure you have a balance in your day to fit in what you love. If that's getting on a bike, if it's reading a book, spending time with your family, your friends, that's what motivates me and doing what I love. I feel I'm very, very blessed because I actually love LinkedIn and I love the look at you and me.
Mhm.
We're here because of LinkedIn.
Yep, we are.
Yeah. And I also think it's amazing the way the online world has opened so many doors and even brought things on a more even or level playing field. Like I was talking to a client earlier, and they introduced me to someone who was working with them who was in a different continent, which would not have happened a few years ago.
No, it wouldn't. Let's go back a minute. You talked about balancing and stuff. So my question to you is how or what tips do you have for balancing between personal life and business life, taking trips? How do you balance all of that?
I think you have to do it with purpose or it will not happen. Like for instance, I'm actually going on holiday soon, which I'm off to Budapest. I'm looking forward to it. Now, if I didn't plan that, it would not happen.
Mm,
So I'm organizing that work it gets done, all that kind of stuff. So then when I'm there, I have that quality time. So what I would say is I actually, and I know a lot of people will tell you to do it, but I block time off. And it isn't a nice to have. Like, I love aqua aerobics as well. And that's not nice to have. That is a must for me. So what I would say is you sit down and work just for your own welfare. If it is your business, is it your personal life? Is it your finances? All the different parts that make us. Do a time block, whatever, and work out when works for you, because I'm better working if it's work in the morning. My brain seems to go jelly in the evening. So I prioritize to get the important things done in the morning. And when my brain is going to jelly and all that kind of thing, then I am better off doing my downtime thing, because then I get more value out of it, because that's when I really, really need it. So it's working out a balance, um, and also explain to people, because especially if you're working from home, whatever, people just think you're doing nothing. you
They
know
do nothing. They could call all day long, and we're here to talk to them.
Yeah. So you need to explain that to people or work out ways around it. Like, I knew one person who used to keep their coat. So if anyone just inside the door, so if anyone ever arrived, they actually would put on their coat as if they were going somewhere, drive around the block, and then go back to work at home.
So way back when we used to have like old telephones and stuff, and and you're on the phone with somebody, I used to teach this to salespeople, to point at their door and say, "Oh, I gotta go. There's the door." They weren't lying. They were
Yeah.
pointing at the door saying there is to go. I mean, because I've always worked from home my whole life. And I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. And so I had to learn these things for the simple reason that people would call me and it would be like, oh my God. But back then you could do that because people would sometimes just knock. The neighbor would just knock the knock. That doesn't happen in our world these days. But yeah, we used to do that. So that I get the fact that her coat was right there ready to go.
Yeah. And we all have learned all these tricks in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to work out, and also work out what are your priorities. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, we all have different priorities, what you want to achieve in your business. What do you want your business to create for you? What kind of life you want to create?
Yeah.
But that can't happen if you don't have clarity
Mm.
and you don't have goals.
I- That's key. Clarity and goals. Oh my God. Resilience. Oh my God. My brain and my nuggets are just falling all over what you're giving them. All right. What's the best way for our audience to stay connected to you? And I know you're going to have a cool link. You already told me. So
Few things. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn. And it's Rosemary O'Shaughnessy. As well as that, digitalcontentmanager.ie, that's my website. Now, we were talking about what we could give everyone, because it's nice to give someone something nice. So recently I did a workshop about networking, but in the workshop on networking, how I approached it was thinking about, I had a sales call the following day, and that sales call came through LinkedIn. And I started by showing people how that call originated as a consequence of what I do on LinkedIn. And then I did it with a colleague in America, Marie, and she discussed goals. And then at the end of it, we had questions and answers. So I think that could be a very helpful thing. So what I'll do is I will email you the link to that. And if anyone's interested, they can watch that workshop. And also I do monthly workshops, etc. I do a monthly one on LinkedIn profiles, because if your profile isn't correct, people obviously will not want check you out any further. So obviously you want to have a profile that instills trust. And also the other workshops I do, it really varies. The next one is actually in June and it's going to be about your visions. So, and achieving them. So, there's lots of different things I do. So, just keep an eye on me. And
That's
if
awesome.
anyone has any questions, obviously contact me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, she'll answer him. She's great about that. Amazing. Thank you so much. And she actually gives you the reasons. Can I tell them that we were talking about the LinkedIn Premium and how
Yeah.
amazing, yeah, and how she is like, "Oh, we just signed up for it. We never had it before." And so she actually has something on that, how to actually use LinkedIn to get the most out of it, especially in those first 30 days when it's 0. Am I right?
Yeah, the whole idea about that. A lot of people had said to me, I want to sign up for premium, but I don't want to lose, not know what to do with it, and then lose the 30 days. So in June, I will have a course just explaining about how to use LinkedIn. And then at least that way, or LinkedIn Premium, at least that way you can decide, use it to the best for the 30 days. And then if you decide to keep it, you keep it. And obviously, if you decide not to keep it, you don't. But they only give you that once a year. So if you do take the 30 days, you want to use it with purpose.
Yay, that's exciting. So is there anything else you wanna leave our, female entrepreneurs with today?
I think female entrepreneurs are brilliant, number one. And number two, I really think a support network is very, very important for all of us because if you're in business and someone says everything is perfect all the time and you never have a challenge, they're not telling you the truth. Where if you've that inner circle, when you have had that bad day, or the people who can encourage you, or the people can tell you that is an awful idea, and that you will listen to them because, and then take action. So, and that is what you're all about. And I think that is absolutely brilliant because it is impossible to do it all because none of us have all the skills, all the time, all the finances, but together we can achieve so much more.
Yeah. Rosemary, you are amazing. Mwah, mwah. Thank you for
Thank
being here
you.
with us. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.